Welcome back, Last Course Barbecue Show. Thanks everybody for watching, commenting, and smashing that subscribe button, and also smashing the like button, because that's all very helpful. All right, today we're doing one of a family favorite cooks. It is gumbo. I call it a gumbo anyway. It originates from this book, the Bouche Creole. I've cooked from this book for the show before. I made some delicious chicken, but I always improvise a little bit with what's on hand. I mean, that's the sense to me of making a good gumbo, New Orleans gumbo. A little bit of improvisation, just kind of clearing out what we got and putting it all in. And we're gonna cook it in a very special way. So we got lots of the usual ingredients you might expect, green peppers, onions, shallots, and then we've got chicken, and we've got chorizo and andouille sausage. I'm gonna cook it in a different fun way. Usually you can cook this, of course, on your stove. I'm going to do it on the kamado. How's that gonna work? I'm gonna take my new Lodge cooking, check this out, little feet on there. I'm gonna sit this right in the kamado, and I'm gonna cook it in here. And we'll see, that's kind of fun. Like if you got a cowboy handle, I guess you could hold it up like this, but it's the perfect size. So I thought I'd take it for a drive. It's a Christmas present, thought I'd take it for a drive. So, all right. We got a lot of work ahead of us, lots of ingredients. We're gonna move over and decamp over to the kamado, and let's get going. All right, here we go. So I've actually got the kamado going, and it was already cooking because I did a brisket cook this afternoon. So the kamado's actually been going since about noon. I let it crank open. I've got it on 2, as you can see. I wanted to get the temperature up after that cook, but now, and there's already smoke in there, as you can see, some remnants of the brisket cook. Now I'm gonna get all this out of our way, and we're gonna put in the Lodge cooking device. Don't need our blocks here, but they are screaming hot. Ooh, gotta be careful with those. All right, so let's get this rack out of here. Now let's move around our coals a bit. I wanna create a coal bed. Oh, look at that, that's the wood from the cook. We got some great heat going on here. I wanna put a few coals here. And once again, this is from 6, 7, 8 hours ago. Still going, love the kamado. So I wanna build up a little bit of a base right here. And then that's gonna do my cooking. Let's get my Lodge onto the base of the coals. Check this out. All right, we've got the feet down here. Comme ça, and in it goes. Kind of fun, right? Let's make sure that's balanced. Good thing I got my Princess Automotive welding gloves here. Now this we'll put down here. We'll take this top off. We'll need that a bit later. And there we go. We'll wait for that to heat up, which shouldn't take too long. Right now it's on the bottom. There we go, that's better. Nice and stable. You can already see the heat starting to get up there, that's for sure. It's gonna get up there real quick because the open air from the kamado is really going to crank this up. So, as we know, we're gonna have a high heat. And what does a high heat mean? It means we need the right oil. So we're using, of course, Camelina oil, which is a very high smoke point oil. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grill up our sausages. Just a light grill, not completely done. Thank you, Three Farmers, for the Camelina oil. Now in here we've got 2 types of sausages. We've got andouille sausages, which is kind of a traditional thing that goes in Cajun, and a chorizo. I wanted to add the kick of a chorizo. There we go. A little bit of water in there is what you're hearing. But that's pretty good. Actually, I think let's go ahead and get that in there. I think they're gonna happen pretty fast, I imagine, here. And I'm actually gonna move, I think, some of the charcoal away from the front so I can reach in. It's pretty hot when I reach in. So I'm gonna reposition some of this charcoal over here. That's better. Right, so now I can reach in and it's not so hot. Perfect. Gonna come together real quick. Some of the sausages fall apart a little bit. The andouille's a little softer than the chorizo, but that's all right. You know what I love about Cajun cooking, what I love about this recipe, it's kind of more like barbecue than it is fine cooking with ingredients and proper measures and all that stuff, which my wife is amazing at. Because, you know, you just throw in what you got. Oh, a couple of sausages and you make it in, there we go. Now onto that, I'm gonna freelance here a little bit. I'm gonna put a little zesty, I think. From the Bearded Butchers, just a little zesty right on the sausages. Every time I make this, it's a little bit different. So we'll leave that for a few minutes. We want that kind of 75% cooked, so to speak, a little bit of fat rendering out. In goes the chicken into that fat, cook that, sear that, out it all comes. And then we start with the roux, the base, basically, really. All right. All right, these sausages are done. Let's call these done. This recipe comes together quick, and then we let it sit for a spell. And I might actually close the lid just to control the temperature when we get to that part. All right, look at that. Yum. All right, let's get the chicken in. Let's close the lid actually and moderate the temperature a bit. I'm gonna turn that down to 0. Cut off down here most of the air. Just to kind of keep our temperatures reasonable. Cheers. All right, there's our delicious chicken right there. So what I've done is I let it brown up. As you've seen, you don't want to let it cook in there too long. Again, you want it about 75% just to brown up. It's going to cook the rest of the time in the sauce. This is how I like to do it. Some nice brownness and flavor here. It's all delicious flavor. All right, so we set that aside. And now we move on to our second part, which is we put in our onion shallots, and then we got green onions. So first of all, let's put these in. There we go. Let's get our shallots in. And the rest of our onions, lots of onions in this. There we go. Check it out. It's feeling a little dry, so I'm going to add a little bit of our Camelina oil. There we go. And we'll be back. All right, these are looking good. Let's add a bit of S&P, salt and pepper here. Now that these have opened up, that's just about as much as we want. Looking good. All right, now let's get some garlic in here. That's about 2 full buds of garlic. Mix that in. All right. Now into that, green pepper. That's about a whole green pepper, maybe, depends on your size, of course. Cook that until that softens up. All right, we got some flavor going here, and we got some more flavor. Check this out. Habanero Herbs, the hot sauce company. My daughter gave me this from London, Ontario. So we're gonna put a little bit of this. I just tasted a bit, not too much. It's gonna add a bit of heat for us. To dry this out a bit, a little bit of flour. That's gonna make a roux for us. It's just nice and dry, so a nice dry roux. And then we're gonna start adding in wet ingredients. Maybe a little bit more, probably a tablespoon. Say that's a tablespoon and a half, maybe? I don't know. So I just go by the way it looks. You see some of that stuff on the bottom? We call that flavor. That's going to come off when I start adding in the wet ingredients. I don't want to leave this too long. All right, leave that for a few seconds. All right, now, that's cooking along quite nicely. We don't want that to burn, of course. That is ready for some love. What's next? We are going to put in a bit of wine, white wine, and in this case I'm using 13th Street Pinot Grigio out of the can, so very handy for the backyard. Hello, Ziggy Dog. How are you? Oh. A cup of that in. Look at that. All right. Into that, a can of tomatoes. I'm using San Marziano tomatoes today. We're going to put in some chopped parsley. Now you can use beef stock. The recipe calls for a can of beef stock. I'm going to use vegetable stock in this. There we go. That's about half a liter. That's good. With a few more spices, we want to put in some bay leaves. There we go. And some thyme. Right on time here with the cook. And we're going to give that a taste a little bit later. And we're going to see how hot it is. And then we'll put, if need be, more of that sauce in. Whoa! Careful. Careful. Beautiful. All right. We'll be back. All right. We have brought this up to a boil. And what I did is I moved the coals around and I've left the lid up. And by doing so, have brought the temperature up and brought this to a boil, which is where I want it. So now we put back in our sausages and put back in our chicken. Now you could put shrimp in this, is why I meant to say this goes really well with shrimp. My daughter happens to be allergic to shrimp, so we're not doing shrimp. So we've got, what have we got? Chorizo sausage, chicken, and andouille sausage. It's going to be amazing. All right, let's give that a bit of a taste for heat. Could use some more. That's okay. That's good. Tough to get it out once you put it in. So I'm going to put a bit more in for heat of our London, Ontario-based Habanero Herbs. I don't like my food so hot that it's unbearable hot to eat, you know, like I like it at a relatively flavor level versus a like burn your head off level. Let's give that a taste now. Well, now the heat's coming. Now the heat's coming. Still a little more. That's it. I'm not going to put any more in there. That's good. Now, I could also use a little bit more salt and pepper. There we go. And I'm going to throw in a little bit more Zesty from our friends at the Bearded Butchers. There we go. A little bit of citrus notes. And now, we're going to let that sit for half an hour, and I'm going to close the lid here as well, because that'll bring the heat down. So let's get it covered. Let's close this lid. There. And you see I've got the vents closed, so that'll just bring that down to a nice simmer. All right. See you in 30 minutes. All right, it has been a half an hour. I closed off all the vents down to 0. Close the bottom vent, just keep the temperature down. You really want to simmer this, probably a little more than simmer. Let's get our handy Princess Automotive glove out of here. Well, let's take a look. Oh yeah, looking amazing. Now that's been cooking for about half an hour. That'll continue to just finish off as I put it on the table. Oh yeah, perfect. Very, very perfect. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna put this on rice, take you inside for that. But for now, let's get this puppy out of here. All right. And let's use the handle. There we go, woohoo! All right, let's get this onto the table.